Hey guys, in this Red Gaming Tech video we're going to be talking about Batman Arkham City on the PC. Now this is a PC exclusive kind of video. There is of course going to be some crossover for the console versions, but in this we're going to be talking about a lot about the PC issues, the performances, especially on launch, and of course we are going to be talking about whether it's actually a good game or not. So let's talk about, is it a good game? Well, the answer is yes it is. And should you buy it? Definitely. Assuming your system is beefy enough to run it, it does look very beautiful, but we're going to kind of get into that later. First of all, I'm just going to give you a quick overview about the game itself. Now, of course, it was a sequel to the critically acclaimed Batman Arkham Asylum, which was released on consoles and PC, just like this version. And for the most part, it removes the annoying factors of Batman Arkham Asylum and kind of fixes most of the issues. It's a little bit more free roaming. The city itself is pretty large, so that's a good thing. But perhaps the biggest gripe I had with Arkham Asylum is some of the fights were a bit boring. The main suspects, of course, were the Joker fight at the end, and without a question, the constant and really frustratingly annoying battles with the big guys. Now, they weren't even particularly difficult, but the fact that there seemed to be so many of them, and each time you would just wait until they charge and then you throw a batarang at them, run up to them and beat on them with a combo, was kind of boring. And fortunately they listened to the critics and they've removed those elements for the most part, and pretty much all of the boss fights are very interesting and very unique. Before anyone asks, no, the Scarecrow is not back, although there is a few Scarecrow-esque, if you will excuse the expression, sections, so that will be quite interesting. The game itself is pretty long. You're probably looking at maybe 20 hours to a little bit more. It took me around 24, maybe 25 hours, although I was messing around quite a bit, and that's including most of the side missions, although not all of the Riddler trophies. And when you do complete the game, it does unlock a Game Plus mode, which I'm assuming allows you to, carry on all your weapons and stuff. Now, fortunately, this version of the game does come with the Catwoman DLC, although it's not actually DLC for the PC version. It's actually built right into the game. You don't need to activate any codes or anything. It's just right there, so that's a good thing. The game is very free roaming, and for the most part you're kind of able to do whatever you want. However, due to some story elements which I won't go into, towards the latter half of the game, or shall I say the latter 75-78% of the story kind of area, there kind of comes a point where you're not actually able to do certain side quests because of what's happening around you. So that's kind of annoying, but you can kind of understand it'll be understandable when you guys are playing through it. Fortunately, when you do complete the game, you can actually continue. So some side quests, I believe, only become unlockable once you've actually finished the main story, which is a bit odd, but there you have it. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the technical side of things. I'm going to put in the video both DirectX 9 mode and with DX11 as well. Now, I'm sure you all are aware, if you've been following the game for a while, that DirectX 11 mode was the reason the game was reportedly delayed for the PC release. And to be honest with you, it was kind of a shambles upon release. There were some major bugs with both frame rate and performance where the game just wasn't up to scratch. There was crashes on launches and frame rate drops that were just completely and utterly inexplicable, especially considering the game itself, although it was very pretty looking, it shouldn't make your hardware come to a crawl. Fortunately, there was a patch released which, for the most part at least, did fix most of the issues. Beforehand, the only thing you could really do is, kind of regretfully turn it to DX9 mode. I personally waited and just completed the game as it should have been on DX11. So, the two major features, of course, this version does have over the consoles, other than the fact that it has quick keys. For example, if you decide to play on keyboard and mouse, I didn't. I played on controller, 360 controller, just because. But that's just personal preference. But the major thing it does have, graphically of course, is, well, DX11 and Physx. Now some people aren't massive fans of Physx, but I think it does kind of work very nicely atmospherically for this game. Things such as paper and carpets kind of ruffle up and fly everywhere as you're fighting. You get clouds of dust particles, mist and fog moves as you're walking through it, and it does add a sense of atmosphere. I do kind of wish that more games did support Physx, although I'm aware that it's an exclusively NVIDIA thing, so that is hardware Physx, that is, of course. And so not all developers want to kind of cater towards that. However, the DX 11 mode does look very beautiful as well. Hardware tessellation definitely makes a difference, and the ability to actually run the game in 1080p or whatever your native resolution of your screen is, plus of course having anisotropic filtering and anti-aliasing and all the other good stuff, definitely makes the game just look breathtaking. Now, the patch has got still a few issues here and there. In one of the fights, towards, I'd say, the 60% stage of the game, I won't mention what fight. Oh, actually, I may as well. I suppose it's not going to be a big spoiler. But you fight the Joker in a funhouse, although it's not like a proper fight. You're mostly fighting his goons, and there are, at least I did, suffer from my hardware a huge frames per second drop. And when I'm talking absolutely huge, I'm talking gargantuan. I didn't actually have fraps running at the time, but I'd guess the frames per second dropped to single digits, maybe 5 or 6, and the only way I could fix that was turning DX 11 mode off. Once I did that, the fight went to normal speeds and I was getting average frames per second again. Now, the second that fight was over, when I enabled DX 11 again, it just went back to normal. So I'm assuming it was a bug either with the drivers I'm using, although I believe they are the latest versions, or with that fight itself. I'll try to do a bit more reading later on to actually find out if that's the case. Overall though, the game has been fixed quite nicely, and I definitely recommend it. You pick it up if possible. It was actually just recently on the Steam sale. I could give you the UK price, was around £19 I believe. And of course it's available in stores now. I'm not sure about the US, but it's around £25. So I definitely recommend picking it up. Most of the PC issues have been resolved, although, as I've mentioned, there are one or two lingering little niggles, but it's definitely nowhere near enough to stop you going through such an amazing title. It's definitely one of my contenders for Game of the Year. Although I haven't actually played through a couple of other big games, such as Witcher 2, I know I'm terrible, but I will get around to it. The game itself is well worth picking up. The plot is pretty phenomenal, and I do really love the fact that it switches between Catwoman almost seamlessly, and you can kind of see things from her perspective and how she goes to help Batman, and it definitely is nice. My major critique, if I could find one, would actually be Two-Face. He really wasn't in the game that much. You fight him a little bit with Batman at the very start, but after that it's pretty much a Catwoman only thing, and to be honest, I thought the fight with him was actually one of the worst. It was very much a kind of cat and mouse game, you'll have to excuse the expression, and it wasn't that exciting or engaging. Other than that though, I can't really find that much fault with the game, so I'd highly recommend, if you can, pick it up, definitely do so. Now, I'm aware that some of you might not have played Batman Arkham Asylum, so I'd recommend, if you haven't already played that, definitely do so before you play Arkham City, because otherwise you'll miss some of the subtle nuances and references. So with all of that said, I hope you guys enjoy the review. Bye.